I want to be a good dad, and I want what's best for my kids. But these days, it feels like it's me versus the screens, and the screens are winning.
Layla, are you practicing your drums?
Yeah!
I've got responsibilities. I need to make sure they're safe.
Ow!
I need to make sure they're educated. I need to make sure they go outside every once in a while.
We all seem to have screen time anxiety, but I think that anxiety itself is the real distraction. You can't understand the ways the internet is changing our lives just by counting the minutes we look at it. So I decided to make a documentary series that looks at what happens when the internet moves off our screens and into the physical world around us. It's taken me to some pretty weird places. I've seen a toilet with an embedded Alexa. I rode with cops as they tried to predict crime with algorithms. I discovered the climate impact of artificial intelligence, and I crashed a self-driving car. At home, we're a connected family already, but we took things to the next level for this project. We got Fitbits, motion detectors, sleep measurement, and connected water bottles. What we discovered is that each of these devices comes with a trade-off. To see who is at the front door, are we becoming more suspicious?
Products are sold based on fear of the other.
When we track our steps with a Fitbit, is it making it difficult for someone who doesn't wear one to get health insurance? Is turning off the lights with Alexa wrecking the planet? And does the freedom of self-driving cars come with the possibility that they can be hacked?
If you do that, then people could die, people could have accidents.
I've made 5 short films and 1 big film where I felt these trade-offs get real. So join me, my family, and my friends as we get up close and personal with the things we gain and the things we lose in the internet of everything.
I mean, yeah, I have to violate my kids' privacy and track their every move to get them to do what I want. But it's the destination, not the journey, right?
Alexa, take a selfie.
Okay.
If you want a smart home, you need a smart assistant. We have one known as Alexa, who does your bidding when you call her name.
Alexa, do not play my dad's music.
Okay. He is very old.
Between the Amazon Echo and the Google Home, 66 million of these smart assistants are installed in the US alone.
Alexa, set the light setting to light green.
Okay.
It's fun to have your own artificial intelligence, but to be honest, we haven't found it indispensable. Amazon gets to listen in on our conversations, and in return, I get a glorified clock radio. These AI assistants need planetary scale infrastructure to operate, and the impact of that technology on the planet's climate isn't virtual or in the cloud, it's real. But to understand the climate impact of an artificial intelligence, first we need to understand how it actually works.
So can you draw what happens when Alexa turns on the light?
So I'm here, this is me. Then I talk to Alexa, then it goes into Alexa, and then she goes to the light. Maybe it goes up to like a satellite first.
Okay.
And then the satellite is like a mirror and light, and it bounces back to the light.
How do they teach Alexa to recognize our speech?
Well, maybe like they said every word in the universe to Alexa. They were just blabbering it out to Alexa.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think that actually is pretty close to how it works.
50 people talked to Alexa for maybe like a month, and that's how Alexa learned to socialize and speak.
Not bad. AI does actually need to be taught by humans. And it turns out that this training process is actually where AI can be the most energy intensive.
All of the artificial intelligence that we are familiar with as consumers is a very particular type of AI that's known as machine learning. Machine learning is taking a lot of data, whether that's the voice data when you speak to Alexa or the videos that you watch when you're watching Netflix. It takes all of that data and looks for patterns. to essentially build a template of the different sounds that people can make. It can then use that template to figure out which words those sounds correspond to. And so when you speak to Alexa on your Echo, it recognizes, oh, this person is saying, Alexa, turn the lights on. We're just beginning to understand the environmental impact of training these AI models. One recent study showed specifically looking at natural language processing models, which is essentially the type of model that Alexa uses to understand natural language. The amount of carbon that would have been emitted would be equivalent, essentially, to the amount of carbon that 5 cars emit in their lifetime.
Karen's reporting is from a study by the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where researchers assessed the carbon emissions created from training common natural language processing models. The carbon emitted from producing the required electricity was also more than 315 round-trip flights between New York and San Francisco.
The cloud, it evokes this ethereal being that is somehow just floating in the sky. But what's actually happening is that there's actually these giant sweaty computers crunching in a room somewhere. There's an enormous amount of infrastructure required to actually support the fact that you can just talk to Alexa at any given moment and have it respond and do the things that you need it to do.
It's not just training Alexa. There's also Amazon Web Services, storage and computing that Amazon makes available to huge companies like Airbnb and Netflix. All these servers require massive amounts of electricity, but not all energy sources are clean. In 2017, Greenpeace reported that 54% of their electricity was generated from fossil fuels. That's why Amazon's own employees are demanding they switch to 100% renewable energy.
You see up the hill to City Hall, the entire street was filled with people. We as Amazon employees are speaking out and really coming together to support each other and support the youth movement. That felt really powerful.
I'll explain the hidden identity thing later. What I can say is that he comes from San Bernardino. He spoke out because the region has one of the highest concentrations of Amazon warehouses in the US. Workers in these warehouses are also organizing.
San Bernardino has some of the worst ozone pollution in the nation. Ozone pollution that is largely contributed by diesel emissions, diesel trucks. We have high cancer rates, high asthma rates in our communities. It's like a slow death. We call it the slow violence of the supply chain. And Amazon currently has about 15 facilities that are operating in our area alone. And so we want sustainable jobs, jobs that will provide full-time pay, full-time benefits. We want employment training for people who want to maybe move up and become a tech worker eventually.
These actions are being noticed. A day before Amazon workers walked out to demand climate action, Jeff Bezos announced a pledge to reach net zero emissions by 2040, 10 years short of workers' demands. I wish you could have met this guy, but the day after I recorded this interview, Amazon announced a policy change. Employees who spoke to the media about Amazon's business practices were threatened with termination.
Amazon has a choice. It can support workers in taking leadership on the most important issue of our time, or continue to retaliate against workers who are speaking up for customers, for their families, and who believe Amazon can lead the way to a carbon-free economy.
We won't be silenced. We won't be silenced. We won't be silenced.
So far, these tech workers are keeping solidarity. They're learning from their colleagues how to use collective action to achieve structural change.
Which are what? Good jobs and clean air. 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 Good jobs and clean air.
And they're joining a generation that understands that acting together isn't a nice to have, it's a requirement. As far as making change in the home, I've settled on an organic assistant.
Hey Layla, turn on the light.
Keeping a dad bod takes work. and I'll take all the help I can get. One internet object I've happily introduced into my life is a fitness tracker to count my daily steps, my heart rate, calories burned, and sleep. This data is valuable to help me keep in shape, but I wanted to explore who else might find it valuable and what I might be giving up in return. I had a feeling no one would want my tired and worn out data, so I needed to find some people with vitality. I met a group of roommates living on the outskirts of Paris who agreed to let us wire them up and track them for the film. I have no idea why they let us do this.
Oh, mo, la, ooh, mo.
Action. All right.
Oh,
Des cadeaux.
Les fonctions qu'il a, c'est female health tracking.
Nous, on va pas mal.
Donc vous, ce sera pas très utile. Moi, c'est Sarah, j'ai 26 ans.
Je m'appelle Antoine, j'ai 20 ans. Bonjour, moi je m'appelle Karim, j'ai 25 ans.
J'ai 27 ans, donc je m'appelle Nils.
Est-ce qu'il va m'encourager à faire plus de sport ou pas je suis curieuse de voir. En gros, je cherche vraiment à être bien dans mon corps, sans pour autant rentrer dans les stéréotypes de femmes ou de personnes très musclées. Donc voilà, c'est juste s'accepter, se sentir bien dans son corps. Voilà.
Mon but déjà, c'est de voir qu'est-ce que Fitbit récolte en données, qu'est-ce qu'on peut en faire, qu'est-ce qu'on peut en dire, est-ce que c'est un objet sécurisé ou pas, c'est surtout ça qui m'intéresse dans l'expérience.
Pour moi, là, ce serait bien de reprendre le sport pour avoir une bonne hygiène de vie et pour voir justement ce que Fitbit peut apporter par rapport à cet objectif-là.
And so we started collecting data. The only problem was they weren't moving much. Nils worked at a startup, Karim and Antoine were students, and Sarah just graduated and was looking for a job. But even though they weren't exercising, they were creating massive amounts of data. And to make sense of it, I visited Matthew Conche, who runs the Privatics research team at the National Institute of Applied Science in Lyon.
Je pense que l'utilisateur devrait se poser la question qu'est-ce qui peut être fait de ces données-là. Il faudrait qu'il réfléchisse à quel type d'informations pourrait être exploité, inféré par une partie tierce. Parce qu'on se rend compte, en fait, quand on creuse un petit peu, qu'on peut obtenir des informations assez détaillées sur la vie des personnes.
So he went to bed quite late this weekend, so around 2. Maybe he went to the pub.
He had a sudden spike of activity between 1:25 and 1:30.
So maybe we can see that these events of unrest during the night is correlated with the activity of another roommate.
Sarah is his girlfriend. They live together. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So we can see the same spike of activity during the evening. We have the evidence here that if I can have access to this data, I can read a lot about your life, what you do today.
So Antoine is the youngest. He's 20. Oh, we have his location.
Yes, we have the location. I guess this is the phone that is getting the GPS coordinates and that is uploading this information at the same time as the data coming from the Fitbit.
So maybe he went to pick up some milk
groceries.
Or something. Yeah.
Maybe there is a shop here.
Liter price, discount supermarket.
If you have the mobility traces, I mean, you have everything. So we know where exactly they live.
Toi et Sarah, tu dormi tard le samedi soir, 2h... c'est pas tard, 2h matin et 3 environ 2h30 ou quelque chose.
Il regarde nos stats, mais genre vraiment. Hein.
Karim, tu dors pas très bien cette semaine, hein?
Non, pas trop, non. Malheureusement, je suis levé vachement tôt cette semaine.
Est-ce qu'on pourrait t'aider?
Papa Brett.
T'as des problèmes, Karim?
C'est ça.
Dimanche, tu as peut-être commandé déjeuner ou quelque chose comme ça?
Non, on était faire des courses.
Liter price. Yes, we saw it on the map.
Enfin, c'est le cas, tu vois, avec Google, ils peuvent savoir tout ce que tu regardes sur Internet. Genre, ils peuvent vraiment tout savoir. Mais bon, après, la question, c'est pareil, Fitbit peut sûrement savoir où est-ce que je suis en permanence. Après, il faut savoir si tu fais confiance à la société ou pas. Il y a juste Brett qui sait que tu rentres à 11h du soir.
Il y a juste Brett qui sait que je vais faire mes courses le dimanche.
One thing for sure, though, We need more exercise.
Okay.
If you're wearing a fitness tracker and you're exercising, you're generating valuable data. Back home in North America, insurance companies are looking for ways to access this information. In 2015, life insurance provider John Hancock began offering a discounted insurance rate for customers who agreed to wear a Fitbit and volunteer their data. And journalists at ProPublica discovered that some healthcare providers encourage users to sign up for so-called wellness programs, offering them health trackers to help them get in shape, but then using the data for something else.
Wellness programs are arranged in different ways, but the general idea is participate in this program, exercise, eat right, and they might even encourage the use of something like a Fitbit or some type of a health tracker, and sharing that information with the insurance company or with your benefit plan. Sometimes they'll even incentivize you. They'll give you money off of your health insurance every month if you actually participate in this program. And what people don't realize is that this data can also be kept, it will be kept long term, it will go into their servers, and it can be used down the road to possibly increase your rates or possibly identify unhealthy people and find ways to either make them pay more or exclude them from programs that they need. So they call it cherry picking, and lemon dropping is kind of the term they'll use. So they want to cherry pick by finding the healthy patients, and they want to lemon drop by dropping the ones who they think might be expensive. Your compliance or lack of compliance with your Fitbit might be defining you, possibly for years down the road.
This isn't just a US idea. It began with the South African insurance company Discovery, which began offering their customers discounts if they lived healthier lives. This program became Vitality, a system of points and rewards tied together with wearable devices and sophisticated data analysis.
Wearable devices, Fitbit, Apple Watch, these are wonderful things. They really are enablers. So using financial incentives to almost bribe, in a way, benevolently bribe, people to behave differently. Their behavior creates profitability in the system, actuarial surplus. Value goes to the customer, the member, value goes to the insurer, and you get this virtual cycle of better behavior. So we are in the process of working with, I think, some of the best companies globally to embed the model in their insurance businesses.
Vitality has been exported to Japan, Australia, Canada, the US, China, and in 2016, Germany. It has also begun in France as a voluntary program for employees of private companies.
Insurers like us really monetize behavior around sickness and around longevity. That's what we do. So we have the resources to change behavior.
For the moment, sending your health data to a tech or insurance company is something that remains a choice. And those companies hope we do. The market for wearable devices in 2020 is predicted to be a $52 billion industry. And that's why, as soon as I returned home, Fitbit, our tracker of choice, had been purchased by Google.
Maintenant, savoir que Google a mes données de santé, ça me met mal.
It seemed to me like the consensus was that Fitbit was a nice company, so we didn't have any problem with that.
C'est ça, c'est exactement ça. Mais maintenant que ça a été racheté avec Google, oui, j'ai plus de réticence, évidemment. Google va connaître mon cycle menstruel.
Ah ouais, c'est vrai ça.
Ouais.
You don't like the idea of that?
Bah non. Non.
On va te proposer des tampons une fois tous les mois.
Pour l'instant, j'ai pas de problème qui pourrait faire en sorte que Google utilise ça contre moi ou quoi.
J'aime bien quand même le principe, le concept, donc ouais, je pense que je vais continuer avec.
It turns out these roommates represent the 3 types of reactions people have to companies owning their data. Maybe you're like Antoine, and you'll never let a company measure your health again. Maybe you're like Sarah, and you're a bit freaked out, but you're sort of resigned to it. Or maybe you're like Karim and Niels, and you don't see what all the fuss is about. Which one are you? It's easy to think that no one cares how out of breath you were on your jog, but every point of data you hand over will impact someone you've never met. One of the least connected objects in my life is my 16-year-old Subaru station wagon. Its FM radio and assorted non-digital instruments help to signal to the world, this man is not cool. My driving days may be numbered anyway. Self-driving, autonomous vehicles are said to be just on the horizon. And to work, they're going to need to be constantly connected to us, to each other, and our cities. So how comfortable should we be letting the internet drive us around? The safety of driverless cars is being tested every day on test tracks like this one, the Tecmo circuit in Linas-Montlhéry, France. This is where car companies test the cutting edge of driverless cars, and I got to ride in one that was just taking its first baby steps.
Je conduis même pas, hein. J'accélère pas, je tourne pas. Elle fait tout pour moi, donc oui, une voiture, il y a beaucoup plus d'informatique qu'avant.
On est dans un ordinateur maintenant.
Oui.
Qui conduit.
Tout à fait, tout à fait. C'est mieux, si on veut qu'il n'y ait pas d'accident. L'Internet dans les voitures, en fait, va permettre que les voitures communiquent entre elles, de pouvoir communiquer avec l'infrastructure aussi, les panneaux, les feux, etc.
Engineers at Tecmo test the safety features of the self-driving cars we'll all be riding in one day.
Donc là, on va simuler un scénario d'accident assez commun. Une voiture qui arrive à une intersection, se faire couper la route par un autre véhicule.
Here is a test of what happens if my car gets the signal to hit the brakes too late.
Effectivement, un accident.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we need the internet. When we get to the point where our cars are driving us, those cars will need to talk to each other, to the roads, to the lights, to motorcycles. We're creating a new network that moves us as well as information. And just like a regular computer network, once you allow things to connect, you create the potential for connections you didn't intend.
En fait, aujourd'hui, une voiture, c'est quoi? C'est un ordinateur avec des roues. Dans ce cas de figure-là, plus la voiture est connectée, plus on multiplie évidemment les vecteurs potentiels d'attaque. Et on a des scénarios beaucoup plus dangereux, c'est-à-dire le déclenchement des airbags intempestifs, ou alors, clairement, un blocage de la direction. On peut tout imaginer. Et il faut bien se dire une chose aussi, c'est qu'un constructeur, c'est aussi des centaines, voire des milliers de sous-traitants. Ça veut dire que quand on a différents organes de la voiture qui sont créés, réalisés par différents sous-traitants, il faut que ces sous-traitants se parlent et faire en sorte de faire de l'interconnexion qui va être la plus sécurisée possible.
To hack a car, the idea wouldn't necessarily be to take over the steering, it would be to confuse it.
L'idée, c'est qu'on va récupérer les différentes données de la route et de l'environnement qu'on a, donc la position des véhicules, la vitesse des véhicules, et toutes ces informations pour se retrouver dans cette carte.
Donc je lance une première attaque pour dire en fait au pilote de décision, ta vitesse elle est de 0 km/h. Donc lui il va dire ok, je dois aller à 70, je vais à 0, je dois accélérer.
There we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. So that was hacked?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, man.
To make sure connected cars are safe, cities will need to connect to the same network and monitor for attacks.
L'objectif, c'est 0 mort sur les routes. On veut éviter les risques d'accident. Donc là, ça va être un véhicule rouge qui va apparaître, qui va en fait donner de fausses informations de position. Voilà, il est là. Alors comme il clignote noir, ça veut dire qu'il a été détecté. Donc ça veut dire qu'il y a des véhicules autour qui ont détecté qu'il a un comportement bizarre, ils ont envoyé des rapports.
So to keep safe, connected cars will connect to connected cities, which connect to connected roads, security cameras, and traffic lights. Take Dijon, France's first smart city. Its operation relies on sensors that collect information from the cars and the people that move through the city. Sensors like this are being installed in roads around the world. One sensor, the VDS-240 from Census Networks, has been installed more than 400,000 times in cities around the world. It's installed in city streets, detects when a car is present, and sends a signal that turns a traffic light on or off. In 2014, an Argentinian named Cesar Serrato figured out how to hack it.
These devices, these sensors were wireless. That means that all the information was sent over the air. So you have the sensors sending the information over the air to the main systems. And because it's going over there, anyone with the right equipment can listen to that traffic, to that wireless traffic. So as an attacker, what you will do is, has modified information, sending fake information so you can confuse the systems to take wrong decisions.
Cesar is what is known as a white hat hacker. He discovers software vulnerabilities so that the manufacturers are forced to fix them. Cesar acquired a device, hacked it in his lab, and then traveled to the United States to test his findings in practice.
I could listen to the devices and to the traffic. It was encrypted, it didn't have authentication authorization, so it was very easy to hack. We went to Washington, D.C. from New York by train. Just out from the train station, there are sensors and there is an access point. So I started to test there and I could see, okay, yes, this is working, this is cool. But it was weird, you know, walking around a couple of blocks away from the White House and knowing that maybe you could hack the traffic control system if you want.
Cesar didn't actually hack the lights, but he proved that he could and filed a report with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Census Networks has since fixed the bug.
Sometimes we start to use the technology and then we realize it has a lot of security problems. And for autonomous cars, smart city technology, if you do that, then people could die, you know, people could have accidents, and that's not something that should happen. If you get devices like these that blindly trust the data, then the city it's not very smart, it's kind of stupid.
My plan has always been to keep driving this car till it stops working. I've never felt better about using something that's obsolete. This is a smart doorbell. One of the first objects I bought for my smart home was the Ring video doorbell. It has a camera in it so you can see who is at the front door no matter where you are.
Now we can see who is at the front door at any time. I have a feeling this is going to be abused.
I'm basically the perfect customer for this camera, a parent who wants to keep their house and their family safe. Ring has an entire line of internet-connected surveillance products, and the company was purchased by Amazon in 2018. The market for these kinds of cheap, connected security cameras is expected to reach 349 million devices by 2023. Their growing popularity comes as good news for another type of user, the police. Amazon and Ring have secured partnerships with more than 500 police departments across the United States.
What it might have taken hours to find in the past, we can now simply request with the click of a button.
You set up the area around your home that you'd like to monitor. Your neighbors, the Ring team, and local law enforcement all proactively working together to make your neighborhood safer. And if you see something suspicious, share it.
Ring's app encourages users to report individuals that seem suspicious. This doorbell cam is part of a much larger story of who is deemed suspicious in America. The Skid Row neighborhood of LA is one of the most heavily surveilled areas of the United States. This 50-block neighborhood is where many of the 48,000 homeless people in the city live. It's also home to the Los Angeles Community Action Network.
How are you?
Hi, I'm Brett Gaylor. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Over the years, we've brought in thousands of impacted people to formulate policy and formulate programs to sort of fight back. Back in the days when we first started doing our organizing work, we understood, just in terms of low-tech surveillance, we understood this idea of see something, say something was really a program that pitted neighbors against neighbors. Think about that magnified times 1,000 when you have these doorbell cams, right, that are literally capturing data about your surroundings on a 24-hour basis, serving as a sort of carceral crow's nest, right, for anyone that happens to walk through your community that you don't like.
Investigative journalists at Motherboard reviewed 100 reports of activity on Ring in New York. People of color were the majority of individuals flagged.
I'm more concerned about the extension of privacy as it relates to gentrification, as it relates to incarceration, as it relates to banishment, right? Because what we know when we look at these technologies A lot of the technologies, high tech being surveillance, low tech being the deployment of police officers, continues to be about real estate, continues to be about investment, continues to be about clearing swaths of land of undesirable people.
Skid Row lies next to some of LA's most valuable real estate. It's bordered by the Arts District and the downtown core. Layered on top of the entire city of Los Angeles is an algorithm called PredPol, or predictive policing. Using information to help cops solve crimes has been happening for decades, but big data and machine learning were the game changers, and these programs began in LA. Originally designed to predict attacks from insurgents in Afghanistan, systems like PredPol analyze crime data to produce a series of 150 square meter hotspots around the city that determine where police officers patrol. These systems have spread to Canada, Israel, Denmark, the UK, Holland, Germany, Austria, Belgium, and China. Activists like Hamid Khan of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition believe that the flaw in these systems is the reliance on reports of suspicion, and that the results are redrawing the boundaries of the city.
Then let's say there's a call for service that something happened, right? Now it's not gone to trial, people have not been convicted, that information keeps on getting uploaded, right? And somebody has called out. So then they designate that area as a hotspot. So right now, we're standing right here, right?
Yeah.
So we filed for public records to see, like, okay, so what were the hotspots? That the hotspots were on the periphery, on the outer boundaries of Skid Row. So you have the gentrifiers who are moving in, they see somebody from Skid Row walk into the neighborhood, and immediately they call the cops. So that's a call for service, that there's a suspicious person in my neighborhood. This is where all the hipsterville is, all the luxury condos, townhouses, everything else, new construction is going on. So the whole idea is to create this whole digital boundary where somebody walks in from Skid Row and goes across Los Angeles Street, where there's hipsterville and bars and everything else. They're going to be thrown up against the wall. They're going to be harassed and intimidated and basically given a ticket.
And contained.
And contained.
That map was really a gate. It was the gate of a carceral community, right? And the objective from the police department wasn't the protection of people inside of Skid Row. It was making sure that folks inside of Skid Row were unable to travel outside of the boundaries. How dare you have a community like Skid Row that's in the shadows of a thriving downtown metropolis? And the very basic things like water and shelter and the right to move are taken away for some and guaranteed for those west of Main Street. We believe that that's a dirty divide.
Today's meeting reflects a renewed effort by this commission to hear from and listen to, and importantly, listen to different members of the community.
We reject this sham public hearing on community policing. Which community did you reach out to, Shane?
What's your explanation for not having this hearing where the people can participate? If you're so community oriented, what's up?
I'm not leaving till you reschedule this in the community. I'm not leaving.
They know that PredPol and Laser are part of community policing. They know that suspicious activity reporting is part of community policing. They know that the iWatch program is part of community policing. They know that public control is part of community policing.
Amazon was recently awarded a patent to allow Ring cameras to detect faces, check them against a database of suspicious people, and send alerts to users.
It's not a new thing that products are sold based on fear, but the idea that products like the doorbell cam are being sold based on the fear of others and then shared with the government and shared with police departments should make some folks shudder.